Hey, this is Matt Reisinger of the Reisinger Homes. Welcome to my video blog dedicated to building science and fine craftsmanship. I've got Coleman with me today. Coleman, how are you today?
Good, thank you for having me.
Coleman's with Quest Construction. They're an equipment manufacturer. And if you've seen my videos or my blogs, you know that I own a lot of their equipment. And we're going to talk specifically today about managing moisture on a job site. This is one of their dehumidifiers that we use in construction for maintaining moisture content in building products. And so I wanted to take a minute of Coleman's time to talk about kind of three main phases that it's really important to manage moisture content in construction. This is really a video meant for custom builders out there. So Coleman, let's first talk about the framing stage.
Yeah, in framing, our concern is whether or not that framing might get wet prior to having the home enclosed. The PowerDry 4000 here is an excellent piece of equipment to help in that type of circumstance. It pulls up to 22 gallons of water a day and can treat up to 4,500 square feet worth of a home. When your framing gets wet, the two major things that we're worried about is mold and potential dry rot scenarios that with wet framing could get a foothold, as well as trying to avoid any expansion, contraction of the framing that later causes warranty issues for you, the home builder.
Yeah, that's right, Coleman. I actually wrote an article in the Journal of Light Construction last year talking about how to really check your framing during construction and make sure it's dry. This is a key piece of equipment. This is a moisture meter. And with these two pins right here, we're able to actually poke our lumber and verify what moisture content that framing lumber is prior to hanging sheetrock. Very important step. As you mentioned, mold and rot. If our framing lumber is above 20% moisture content, that's kind of a threshold for mold and rot happening, and so we really want to make sure it's below that. But ultimately, I like to see my houses below 15% moisture content. And for the second reason you mentioned, which is warranty and callbacks, specifically related to shrinkage of that wood. You hear builders talk about settlement cracks. When we're talking about that, most of the time we're talking about that wood moving, and a lot of that movement is because that wood is still drying. And when a client moves in and starts using their air conditioner or their heater, that wood is losing moisture until it gets to that equilibrium point. And wood, when it loses moisture, typically is going to shrink. And so by conditioning our houses using fans and dehumidifiers, really ensuring that we've done a good job of bringing that moisture down in that framing lumber, it saves me a lot of money and a lot of time later on. Next, Coleman, let's talk about the drywall phase. How could a dehumidifier help us in the drywall stage?
It's really helpful actually from a production standpoint. Earlier this morning we were talking with Ben, your production manager, and in this house they've used a level 5 finish on the drywall as far as mud and tape and float, and it decreased production time by several days. Yeah, that makes a big difference. Here in the hot, humid South, today, for instance, it's 75 degrees outside. It's going to be probably 80 before the end of the day, and the current relative humidity outside is about 75%. So it's already a pretty hot, humid day. If we were in the middle of the drywall phase and we were putting a heavy coat of mud on the sheetrock, it's going to have a hard time drying before those drywall guys come back the next day. And so by utilizing this PowerDry 4000 or equipment like this, as well as some fans to circulate the air, boy, it can make a big difference on cycle time. And Ben did mention that we saved some time on this particular house. Time is money. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the third big reason today, which is hardwood floors. And this is really, hardwood floors and their movement is one of the big reasons I started learning about the building science behind moisture management in our houses about 10 years, or in my houses about 10 years ago. So let's talk about the hardwoods that are in this house. Coleman, give us kind of a brief tutorial on this chart from the U.S. Department of Agriculture talking about wood equilibrium. Well, the chart shows where your wood is going to settle at when the home's HVAC system is turned on. And ideally, you want to have the moisture content of that wood as close to that equilibrium state once that HVAC system is turned on. So what this takes a look at is, what moisture content the wood arrived to the home in during installation. Is it currently contracting, or is it currently expanding to the ambient conditions in the room? So a real helpful look at.
That is a great chart. And what that means to me as a custom builder, you know, we're delivering hardwoods very early in our process because this is a traditional sand and finish 3/4 inch white oak floor. You can see my hardwoods are installed now, but behind me is the kitchen, and I don't have any of my cabinetry or any of the wood that's going on the backsplash in the ceiling in the kitchen in yet. So we've installed these woods probably 3 months or so before they're going to be finished. And if we check the moisture content of these hardwoods when they arrive to the job site, they're probably somewhere around 10, maybe 11% moisture content. And again, remember how humid it is outdoors. If we're not conditioning the space that these hardwoods are going to live for the next few months, likely these hardwoods would actually end up at a higher moisture content after they've been installed. And so if we ended up at 13 or 14% moisture content, sand and finish these, and then went and turned the HVAC equipment onto the house after the clients moved in, we'd see a lot of cracking in these hardwoods. We'd see a lot of contraction. We'd see a lot of gapping open up. And of course, that's a big callback for custom builders. So it's really important when you're putting hardwoods in to maintain that low moisture content in the wood. And ultimately, this is how you're going to do it, is by using a portable job site dehumidifier. And a unit like this actually has a dehumidistat on it, doesn't it?
Yep, it will maintain the humidity where you set it at, which is also real helpful even with the substrate before you lay the hardwood floor. If you're laying on top of a slab, you can have that dried out rather than having to almost double the cost of your floor and having to lay down a vapor barrier.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we do want to make sure that our slabs are not creating additional moisture that's going to be soaked up by those hardwoods. So much. I really appreciate your time today and talking about this, and I appreciate you guys make some great equipment. I own quite a few pieces of the equipment y'all make, both on dehumidifiers, fans, and portable air conditioners. I highly recommend you check out Quest Construction. I think the website is Quest on the Job, is that right?
Quest on the Job.
QuestOnTheJob.com. Thanks for joining, buddy. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.